you do your next project, check out this video.
We are so excited that you're still with us today here at ShipShape TV, where the topic this time is how to apply a new type of two-part polyurethane paint to your hull sides when you have a fiberglass boat that has old gel coat on it. And again, who we have the privilege of having on the program is my good friend Steve Schultz, who is the president of Interlux. And you guys are making a paint called Perfection today, and we're going to be using that. But we promised before the break that we were going to take everybody through the 40 hours of labor that we have invested into the hull sides on our Bertram 31. Let's tell everybody about what we've done, okay? We had a lot of spider cracking on this hull, and basically whenever you have spider cracking or fracturing of that gel coat, you're going to have to grind it out. You're going to have to get down into some clean, unobstructed, unfractured fiberglass, and you're going to have to rebuild some areas of the boat. Basically, once the repair is done, once it's cured, you can kind of grind everything flush, and you're going to have to come back with some type of a filler, and we want to fill these areas using a body filler. And what do you want to avoid here?
Well, you want to avoid automotive type products because they're a different technology, John. They're made to mix quickly and sand rapidly, but they are not water resistant. And you don't want anything on this hull that's not water resistant. It's important to use a marine grade two-part epoxy filler, like a watertight or something similar to that.
Okay, now what we have here on the table, this one's put out by 3M. What I used on the Bertram is I actually used a product that your parent company, XL Nobel, manufacturers, called All Fair, and this is part of the All Grip line of products, but it's a very good body filler. You put it on with some type of a plastic applicator like this. You apply it to the boat, you fill up your areas, and then you're going to need to sand everything flush. But we need to deal with that original gel coat, and we need to deal with all the waxes that have accumulated onto that gel coat over the years. How do we get rid of it? Because otherwise our paint isn't going to stick.
Correct. Typically, marine waxes will contain a type of silicone, and that can contaminate both the primer and the top coat that we want to apply later on. So we want to remove that completely off the hull. Not move it from the front of the hull to the back, but get it off the hull. And to do that, it's best to use something like an Interlux solvent wash with lots of rags to completely remove that from the hull.
Don't think that you can simply use some sandpaper on the hull side and you're going to remove the wax. All you're going to do with sandpaper is you're going to dry that silicone, you're going to dry that stuff right into the hull, and you're not going to remove anything. Okay, you got to use the solvent. Now, go around the boat, inspect it, look for little dings, look for little dimples, you know, look for areas that you got to kind of fill up, again with your body filler, and go ahead and do that. And we're now kind of at a point where we can start applying a primer to the gel coat. And there's a big misconception out there, Steve. A lot of people think that you have to have some type of a primer whenever you're painting a fiberglass boat that has gel coat. You have to have something that's going to make the top coat stick to the gel coat. That's not true, is it?
No, the primer's not there to glue the two together. The primer's actually there to fill the porosity that's within the gel coat. We talked about the microscopic cracks that exist within that gel coat when it gets older. The purpose of an epoxy primer is to completely seal that off, stabilize the surface, and make it possible for the top coat to give you back the highest level of gloss it possibly can.
We used two coats. The first one, we rolled it on, and we used a foam roller, and this is a solvent impervious type of roller, yes. Right? You don't want solvents to destroy your foam rollers. Some of them can kind of disintegrate. So you want to make sure that you have a good quality foam roller. We rolled on the first coat, we let it cure, we sanded it using 240 grit sandpaper, and we came back and we rolled on a second coat, but this time we used a good quality animal hair brush. This is a badger hair brush right here. It's very expensive. But what this allowed us to do was to kind of get the material to flow out on the hull side. Once everything cured, we came back with some 360 grit sandpaper, and we sanded that boat. But notice the black on the hull side. Well, that's just some spray paint, some flat black spray paint that we used as a guide coat. And basically, when we sprayed it on, all we were trying to do was give us the distinction of where have we sanded and where haven't we sanded. That's a real good idea. Now, remember the dust and debris that I showed you earlier in the show, right on my hand when I was kind of rubbing it on the hull side? Well, we got to get rid of that stuff. And what do we use here to remove all of that dust and debris? Can we simply get some air and blow it off the hull side if we have an air compressor, or do we need to use some type of denatured alcohol?
If you have an air compressor, by all means use it to blow off the dust, but even with that, you need to wipe down the hull with solvent. Denatured alcohol is okay. We also recommend using the thinner that you use in finish coat, and again, John, lots of rags so that you remove it from the hull rather than just push it around the hull.
Well, hey, we are now ready to put on our top coat of paint.
You can find these Interlux products and much more at jamestowndistributors.com.